You are watching Access LaPorte County Channel 97. Coming up next is the February 3rd meeting for the LaPorte County Problem Solving Court graduation. You can find more information for this meeting by visiting www.accesslaportecounty.org.
All rise. Please be seated. Good evening, and thank you for joining us on this cold evening for our 24th commencement ceremony for Problem Solving Court, where we're going to recognize 4 people who've completed this challenging program. I read a saying that really stuck with me, and I think it applies to all of our graduates through the years. Maybe the journey isn't so much about becoming anything. Maybe it's about unbecoming everything that isn't really you, so you can be who you were meant to be in the first place. Many of you know the history of drug courts if you've been to a graduation ceremony in the past. They've been around 36 years. There's over 4,000 of them in the country, with more than and more being created all the time in every state. They are the most studied criminal justice program in the history of our country. The concept was born when a judge in Miami, frustrated with sentencing people with addiction issues to prison, where they got no treatment, only to see them be released back into the same environment and wind up right back in front of him. So he brought together the legal community and the mental health community to create a court-monitored treatment program to help people who wanted to get better and achieve long-term recovery. It marries accountability and treatment. And here we are, 36 years later, with over 1 million lives saved and many more affected throughout the nation. Our program has been in existence since 2012. We have over 100 graduates, and tonight we're recognizing another 4. Each graduate is unique, kind of like the starfish in your program. But each ceremony, while it's different, all starts the same way. We open each evening with this video because we recognize that some people change. Tonight, there are approximately 23.5 million people who consider themselves to be in long-term recovery. Why is that figure important? Because it shows that it is widespread and all too common condition affecting people from all walks of life. It also shows that while a substance use disorder can never be cured, it can be managed. Millions of people lead positive, productive, wonderful lives. Recovery is real, it's possible, and it should always be celebrated. We recognize 4 people who have found recovery this evening. They know that they're never done with their recovery. It's a day-by-day journey. Some days are easy and some are very difficult, but the point to remember is that they're still here. Here for their families, their employers, their friends, their neighbors. Sometimes in the depths of addiction, living or dying doesn't really matter. But in recovery, there's a realization that life does matter more than anything. It's messy, it's always messy, but it's a blessing. And we are very blessed to have this program and to have these graduates here tonight. I cannot do justice to the work that our graduates have done. No words really could. Every day they have been here, they've had to make tough choices. They've learned how to be accountable. They've been rewarded and they've been sanctioned, and they've argued and they've listened. They've learned and they have taught. Tonight's about gratitude. Our gratitude for their efforts and theirs for the grace of a second chance, one they know that some people won't get. In order to get from day one to sitting here in this courtroom, having completed the program that takes a minimum of 18 months, it takes immense work on the part of the participants, but their success could not happen without the team of professionals who work with them every day. Without the team, this program would be nothing but a great idea. They are the ones who take the late-night calls, who pick up the pieces after a relapse, who encourage and remind us all that tomorrow is another day, hopefully a better day. If I could have the team members stand as I call your name. Barbara Stooksbury is our prosecutor on the team. Bill Nelson, defense counsel. David Payne, defense counsel. Katie Jesniewski, therapist with Swanson Center. John Downs is with HealthLink. Connor Zelasco, also with HealthLink. Paula Dranger, therapist with Choices. Roxanne Justice is our nurse. Holly Grushko with Community Corrections is on a cruise, and she sends her very best. Sergeant Adam Hannon is with LaPorte Sheriff's Department. Lieutenant Jeffrey Holt, also with the Sheriff's Department. Corporal Matt Babcock with Michigan City Police Department. Ashley Ortega, Intensive Case Manager. Amanda Collins, Case Manager. Carissa Strader, our Program Coordinator and Case Manager. Amber Crane, our Peer Recovery Specialist. Angie Case, Bailiff, and Mr. Irick, Chief Probation Officer, who always runs these so well. Do we have any former team members with us? Very good. We've got 2 team members. I want to acknowledge you. Thank you for all that you did while you were on the team. Drug courts are so successful in large part because of the power of it takes a village mindset. It takes a team of people from many different disciplines to help the participants change their lives. No one person can take all the blame or all the credit for whatever happens. And like snowflakes, no 2 people come to this court with the same history or the same needs. We meet them where they are. Some are much more fragile than others, but all need what these professionals give gladly. I say this at each graduation because it's always true. A wonderful and wise friend of mine told me that a life well lived does not consist of making your dreams come true, but of making other people's dreams come true. That is the mission of the calling, the people behind me on this team. This is more than a job for them. It is an extension of their humanity, and we're blessed to have them working for this county. So please give them another round of applause. As I said before, the program started in May of 2012, and since then we've had over 100 graduates and touched hundreds more. We started with a small grant from the Drug-Free Partnership and $10,000 donation from the prosecutor. While there were some who questioned the need for a program, most were supportive of our goal. In order to properly implement the court, the team at the time spent about 18 months in the planning process, going to at least 4 courts in 3 different states to observe and learn how to run a proper drug court. The entire team at this time was involved in the planning and implementation of the court. Since the beginning, we've been very blessed to have remarkable and dedicated members of the team, time and again. They're well-trained, and they have chosen to be here. They were not assigned. As with anything that is successful, you have turnover in the program, and this is no exception. We have 4 original members of the team who've continued to serve the population, but tonight we want to honor and thank one of the original team members, Paula Dranger, who is retiring. Paula has been a therapist in Northwest Indiana for years. She has worn many professional hats during this time. In addition to being a skilled therapist, she's been on Porter County Crisis Intervention Team. She's taught countless hundreds of nursing students at Valparaiso University. She's a researcher on many areas of trauma and addiction. To this team, she has been a dear colleague, a source of knowledge, and to the participants she has worked with, in the last 14 years, she has been an advisor, an educator, a therapist, a mom, and a savior. Paula, please know how much we appreciate the part you have given of yourself so freely in this mission. You've earned the time to explore the many hobbies and interests which you're now able to do. Thank you from all of us. You have brightened our days, strengthened our understanding of our task, and we are all better for having known you. I would like to recognize any elected officials that we have here this evening, as their support is critical to the survival. You have the prosecutor here. Magistrate Link, you want to stand up? Judge Thorne, you want to wave too? Okay. Problem-solving court, the drug court, is not the only specialty court in our county. We are very fortunate to have several in operation. Judge Thorne operates the Veterans Treatment Court. Judge Stahlbrink, the Reentry Court. Magistrate Muncie provides over the Family Treatment Court, and Judge Havens oversees the Youth Wellness Court. Thank you to all of the judiciary who refers people and who operates these courts. You are changing the lives of this county. I am pleased to announce that we are in the planning stages of a mental health court. So we anticipate that will begin at some point later this year. We'll keep you posted.
I was that person that had to try several different attempts towards recovery. If it wasn't for the treatment court team that didn't give up on me, I'm pretty certain I would either be in prison or be dead by overdose or gun violence. My name's Joe Barsana. I'm a King County Drug Court graduate. I lived a life with total chaos. I had no connection to the community. I had no support systems. I felt an immense amount of darkness, and I lived in a lot of isolation. A lot of the times I cycled in and out of incarceration. You could find me any other day, either in jail or out in the streets of South Seattle. So the first time I walked in a drug court and the judge had the whole crowd kind of give me applause was really strange, but it felt very supportive. It was the first time I kind of went in an environment that wasn't adversarial in a courtroom, where I didn't feel nervous. I felt supported by the court. I felt supported by the prosecutor, which is very strange for someone with a significant history of with crimes in the criminal justice system. So it was strange, but it felt supportive. It felt like I had a team, and over time it started to really develop into a family. I felt like I had an actual family in drug court. After losing my father, I needed a support system of people that kind of held me up, not just held me up, but also held me accountable, because that is something my father did, was hold me accountable, right? And the drug court team, specifically the treatment coordinator, really kind of filled that role after I lost my father. He didn't get to see me fulfill my full potential, but my brother does, my nephews do, my nieces do, all the people in my family get to, and I know that he would be smiling down upon me. The recovering Joe is a much different person. He gets to wake up with purpose. He gets to wake up in his own home. The recovering Joe gets to go into a car that he actually owns. He gets to go to a job that he feels really proud of. He gets to go to a job that he gets to advocate for recovery. Due to the fentanyl crisis in our communities, we're losing our brothers and sisters on a daily basis. So the folks who have found a path towards recovery and has found a path towards success are really fired up to share that, because we're really tired of losing our family members, our friends, our community members. So we're here, we're proud, and we really want to scream from the tallest rooftop that we know how to lead the way.
It has been our practice to ask a graduate from the program to come say a few words at each commencement. They know what it's like to sit here, proud of their accomplishments, but nervous about the future. Hearing from someone who's walked in the path can give our graduates, those leaving, some assurance today that today is just another day, really. It's not the end of anything. It's just a recognition that they can do this. And whatever the future holds, they have the tools to survive and to thrive. Denise graduated from the program in 2023. She's been an active member of the recovery community, giving of her time to others. Denise is a wonderful example of how to maintain recovery in the face of lots of challenges. She's had successes and she's had struggles, but she has put her recovery first so that everything else doesn't have to come last. Denise, you want to come on up?
Okay. Hi, y'all. A little Texas swing there. Hi, my name is Denise, and like she said, I graduated December 21st, 2023. I am 61 years old, but didn't start living until after graduating from drug court. What I mean by this is my whole life, I let other people tell me how to think, how to feel. I had literally no confidence in myself and was literally broken. I used to hide in the shadows and pretty much kept to myself. I've been abused and didn't believe I deserved anything other than that. I was really morally bankrupt. My thinking was all messed up. I was programmed by a life of pain and hurt. I had no idea what goals were. I remember one time the judge asked me what my goal was. I didn't know what to say. So I told her I was going to get a new pair of tennis shoes. I truly had no idea what she wanted from me or how to build a life with goals. But with a lot of patience and encouragement and with the help of Carissa, I made little goals to achieve big goals. I lost everything when I went to jail. Well, I was losing it before I went to jail, but I lost everything. I mean, everything. But one person at the NA meeting said, "Why?" And I just looked at him, and I truly believed I lost everything. And he says, "Why again?" I just because. He said, "Because why?" So I set out to get my stuff back, see if I could. What I lost: my house, my job, my family. Well, today I have my house back. I'm no longer in default. I have the job that I love and well paid. And I have loving and loyal friends who trust me. Although my family is still torn apart, I see all of them regularly. Which is probably for the best, but for a minute there, I thought that I was going to lose the two very special gentlemen in my life, because I was with them, and then they was taken from me like a second time. Yeah, that was a big setback for me. I wanted to give up, but the second CPS lady, Tara, bless her heart, she told me not to give up. Carissa told me not to give up. Barb, sorry, yeah. Barb told me not to give up. And today I am welcomed back into their house with their with their adopted mom now. We are friends, and I see them pretty regularly, plus a once a month visit with the other lady. So, where was it? Okay. Well, with I lost my place. With the help, with the kindness and the stern patience of all these people here, when I stood before them the first time, I was scared to death, and very angry. I didn't know why. That's the way I lived my life. I was afraid and angry all the time. It didn't matter. I had to retrain my thoughts, how to think, literally. I read books, how to retrain my thinking, and even though I'm still not too good talking to people, using smart words, like the smart words. I still try. I'm standing up here today, and I'm, somewhat nervous, but I'm relaxed. I'm not afraid to try. I'm not afraid to try anything. I have to be careful not to shut down. If I find myself hiding out in my bedroom, I have to escape it, get out, go do something, because that is a real trigger. Working, recognizing my triggers, and having a plan for a trigger that is near. I don't let people bully me anymore to their way of thinking. This will get me in trouble. I spend. When I say no, I mean it. No, it's not a maybe. It's no. I don't want that around me. No, you can't come over. No. If I start getting angry, I call somebody. Because, and I'm snapping at people, I call somebody, because I have to figure out what the problem is right away, because that is a very bad trigger for me when I get angry. Because I have a lot of past trauma in my life, and I really need a lot of help working through it. Although my therapist quit on me, just abandoned me. And I really thought that, that could have been a real bad situation, but, I love her and forgive her. But, you got to figure the way I thought at first. Well, she don't even want to work with me, is there any hope? But I know I have people that care about me. I call Chris a lot. I stay in touch with her. I need her. I tell her, say hi to the judge for me all the time. I'm doing really well as far as most things. For a minute there, my son broke his neck. I lost the boys. Things weren't going very well in my favor. But I stuck to my guns. I called Chris. I always call Chris when something's bothering me. I just play it off, Hi, I just miss you. But just hearing her voice brings back the, don't you dare. And I'm grateful for that. I'm really grateful for drug court. And y'all, when you after you graduate, just make sure you watch, the things around you. People, places, and things is a real dead ringer, especially when they're coming to your own house. You got to know when to, you got to be able to say, get the hell out. Excuse my language, people, but really, people in my life, all around me, are still in their addictions. Okay, and I have to be very strong, and know when to walk away. Know when to tell them to leave, or know when I need to leave. I have hope for many of them, but some of them it's not. I have to keep in check with my emotions. If I start getting sad all the time, start crying, I don't know. By the way, I do have a meeting, an NA meeting at Sunday. I've been there by myself for a year now. At 4 o'clock, I need some people. Little advertisement there. But we write a lot of essays, a whole lot of essays. And I'm going to conclude this with this one essay that the judge actually liked really a lot. I'm not going to read the whole essay, just a little part in there that I don't know where it came from, but this essay, it stuck out. The name of it was, What Would I Need to Explore My Personal Recovery Journey? So, I'm going to begin with finding out who I really am. I am not just Bill and Sandy's daughter. I am Denise. I'm not just a girl who was abused. I'm a survivor. I'm not just a wife who was beat. I was strong enough to leave. So why? So why should I look at myself less than? Why should I let the drugs win? I have fought to live my whole entire life. Now I think it's time for me to actually live. So I matter. Thank you, guys.
That picture is a reminder of what recovery often looks like. It is rarely a straight line. More often than not, it's a bit of a winding road. It's hopefully a path of progress. It'll never be perfection. It looks different for every person. Recovery won't fix anybody's problems, as Denise just explained, but it will give them the strength and the knowledge to face them. Expecting this program to make promises that life will be smooth sailing, not possible. We can, however, tell you that we'll try to meet each person where they are, get them the help they need, celebrate those who never give up, even if the road looks a little bit like that. Over the years, we've been blessed with many wonderful speakers, from Supreme Court justices to TV celebrities, to national spokesperson for recovery courts, elected officials personally acquainted with the horrors of addiction. We've had a family member of someone who lost the battle with the disease. He would have done anything in his power to change the outcome of that story. Anything to save his daughter. But that's just a thing. It's not in his control. It was in hers, and he couldn't save her. If loving people enough prevented addiction, there would be no one suffering from it. If punishment cured it, again, our jails and prisons would have a lot fewer residents. Our speaker this evening knows firsthand the pain of watching a loved one struggle, not knowing if he would become a statistic or a survivor. Fortunately, hers is a story of faith and redemption, and ultimately of hope, for anyone who's at the end of their rope battling this disease. Lisa Scheller has spent her life in the helping profession, working for nonprofit organizations as a social worker and leader long before the darkness of addiction came knocking at her door. And when it did, she was blindsided. One of her messages is, and it's a critical one, this can happen to anyone. Her family, who is here tonight, I'm happy to say, her family's your neighbor. The ones you wave at and assume that everything's just fine, when maybe you have no idea that nothing could be further from the truth. Lisa stood by her husband Hans through the years of terror as she saw him slip away. As I said earlier, recovery is possible. Lisa and her family are a testament to the fact that people change. She and her husband now spend a great deal of time sharing their story, offering encouragement and support to families whose shoes they walked in. They have their own life coaching business, and they live by the motto that they survived this because there was a reason for them to be here. To help others to know that there is always hope. Their book, From Fear to Faith, is a wonderful book. I encourage anyone who's interested in this topic to read. So please welcome Lisa Scheller.
Good evening, everyone, and congratulations to all the amazing graduates. And I am so thankful for the opportunity to be here with you all. Thank you, Judge Friedman, for inviting me to speak at this very special event. About myself. As Judge Friedman had mentioned, my name is Lisa Scheller, and I've lived in Porter County for the past 28 years. I am a wife and a mama to two amazing daughters. I am not only the author of From Fear to Faith, A Family's Journey with Addiction, Recovery, and Grace, but I'm also recently, within the last 2.5 years, the co-founder of a nonprofit called Healing with Human Connections that is dedicated to fostering healing and empowering positive transformation through evidence-based care, education, advocacy, and authentic human connection. I want to begin by sharing a short story. Excuse me. I grew up in Minnesota and had what I thought was a pretty normal upbringing. My parents were married for 45 years until my mom passed. I have 2 sisters and a brother. All of us siblings and I went to college. We graduated, we all got good jobs, and we married right out of college. My parents taught us that we don't share our problems with others. We keep them under wrap, and we take care of the problems ourselves and within our family. My parents seemed to be successful, and there wasn't addiction or divorce in our family that I knew of, and my parents had good jobs and were a very happy, loving couple. My goal after college was to get married, buy a house, and then have a family. This was the American dream. And after graduating from college, I married my college boyfriend, but that marriage ended. And I wanted to do over with my life. It wasn't going the way I had planned. My mom wasn't going to hear of it, and my dad said to me, "You know where you've been, but you don't know where you're going. But if you don't go, you may never know." So with my dad's blessing, I moved to Valparaiso, Indiana, where I got a good job, met a wonderful man who was smart, level-headed, funny, loving, compassionate, and we had a lot in common. He too wanted a family, and most of all, he loved me, and he promised to make me happy. We got married, and we had the 2 daughters, and my life was going exactly the way I had planned. When our girls were young, I had owned a gift basket business, which I ran from our basement so that I could juggle being a mom and having a career. The gift basket business grew, and my husband quit his job to start working with me, and we started to outgrow the basement for the business, so we decided to build a new and bigger house. And within 2 years of moving into the bigger house, things became very stressful. Business wasn't going as planned, bills piled up, we stopped prioritizing things. Hans and I fought, and he would leave for a couple of days, and I didn't know where he was, and he would return, and we would talk things out to possibly make things better. At this time, I felt abandoned, resentful towards him. Many times over and over, I felt blindsided. I remember Hans coming home after a time he had left saying he went to see a friend who was the director of a local recovery center, and she recommended he go get help. I said, "No, we can handle this on our own." As I mentioned earlier, Hans and I were both taught to take care of things on our own and within our family. You don't invite others in or share your dirty laundry. It was a very crazy, vicious cycle we got ourselves into. We shut ourselves out from our family and friends, and when things started falling apart, we became more isolated. Once again, we needed a do-over. We took on way too much with the big house. We thought if we moved to a smaller house, like the house we had when we first were married, we'd be happy again. We moved, and the problems followed. And we moved again, and the problems followed. And I came home from work one day thinking Hans was at work and got a call from him saying he had checked himself into the Michiana Hospital for alcohol addiction. I was truly beside myself. How could he be so selfish and leave me with 2 young daughters to take care of while he was taking care of himself? This was the tip of the iceberg of a 10-year battle with enabling, codependency, and alcohol addiction in our family. It was a wild roller coaster ride. During these years, our family found ourselves homeless. We lived in the basement of our friend's house. We lived in hotels. Our good friends changed, and we did not know from day to day what life was going to throw our way. Hans was in and out of treatment centers. He got an OWI. He tried to commit suicide on a number of occasions. And I was emotionally, mentally, and physically exhausted trying to stay sane for the girls. I thought, I could fix the problem. I could make it better, but I couldn't. Everything I envisioned for my life the way it was supposed to be, my American dream, was being taken out from under me, and I was shattered. During this time, we were asked by friends to attend their church and soon found ourselves a part of a very loving church family. Many of these people knew our family story. They loved us unconditionally, they gave us endless grace, and they were the hands and feet of Jesus. They prayed with us, and they prayed for us and with us. However, the alcohol continued to take a toll on our family. I tried to control it. Hans tried to convince me I caused it, and I thought I could cure it for our family. But yet it was destroying our family and friends. It was hard to continue to give Hans grace over and over. What I did come to realize is that I was contributing to our chaos and problems. I was angry, disappointed, hurt, confused, blindsided, and constantly in survival mode. And one day I heard God whisper to me, "Surrender and give this to me. This is between Hans and I." So I did that. I surrendered. It was the fall of 2014, mid-October morning. Our girls were at school, and I was home with Hans, who had been drinking all night. I went to take a shower, and when I came back, he was gone. He left with my car, but no wallet or phone. That evening, I received a phone call from the Indiana State Patrol, and they said, "We found your car on Highway 65, 5 hours south of Valparaiso. Do you know who was driving it?" I said, "Yes, my husband." They said they searched for him, and he was nowhere to be found. Days went by, nothing from Hans, and all I did was pray. "God, I know you got this. I knew I was going to have to deal with whatever was sent my way." 10 days after Hans left, I got a call from a hospital in southern Indiana, and it was Hans. He was in the hospital and was okay. He had no car and wanted to come home. This time I said, "No, you need to get help." He stayed in southern Indiana, a men's halfway house, for 6 months, went to AA meetings, got himself a job, and supported our family. After 6 months, he returned back to Valparaiso and reached out to a company that was similar to what he was doing in southern Indiana. They created him a job, and he has now been with the company for 11 years. Our lives hit rock bottom. It was not the life I had ever imagined or planned. Our family had to rebuild. The big house we built, the material things were no longer important nor a priority. Hans and I are still married after 26 years. Our oldest, Hannah, is 25 and is an elementary teacher in Michigan City, and our Delaney is 23 and is working on her master's of social work at Valparaiso University. Our girls' childhood is not the upbringing I ever envisioned for them. Our family's lives have been changed in many positive ways over the years. We have been blessed and have been given grace in ways that I could have never imagined years ago. We needed to go through this very dark season to know that we serve an amazing God and who will meet us where we are at and always give us grace and mercy unconditionally. Friends, life is a journey and not a destination. I constantly need to look back on how far I have come and all that God has done in my life in order to give me confidence and faith for the future. Hans and I have experienced firsthand when we tried to deal with things on our own, we became fearful and we thought we could control our situation. But we have learned we have little control over our own lives, and we need others in our lives. We need community because they encourage us, hold us accountable, and give us a straight path. We will not be perfect in our walk, but we need to persevere. I have tremendous gratitude for what I have been through. Gratitude is never invincible or silent. It can transform any situation. It alters your inner vibration, moving you from a negative energy to positive. It is the quickest, easiest, and most powerful way to affect change in your life. God definitely had a plan and purpose for our family's journey and has equipped us to share our family journey with others by making a way for Hans and I to write the book, From Fear to Faith, A Family's Journey with Addiction, Recovery, and Grace. We were never meant to walk this life alone. When thinking about writing the book, I thought, what am I doing? I'm not a writer, nor do I even like to read. It was, however, important to me to help others understand that addiction is progressive and it is a family disease, and it impacts everyone around the addict, much like a pebble dropped in the water creates a wide ripple effect. It is our mission to lift the stigma of addiction and help break generational trauma. We will discover that people, places, and things can be more powerful recovery than addiction. Today, we also use our family journey to walk alongside others who are affected by addiction with the nonprofit I mentioned earlier, Healing with Human Connections. Graduates, you have experienced humility. You have accepted and endured the consequences of your behaviors. You have had to do the work. You had to repair relationships you did not believe could be repaired. And you will continue to experience being human in all its imperfections. It will not always be easy, but it will be righteous and worth it. You have given yourselves to the guidance of others, and in your willingness, you have taught those who have guided you as well. Your story is yours to tell if you choose. You are accountable to your story. It is not anyone else's story, but what I will say is you are a walking, living testimony, and your stories are worth telling. Your voices are strong and your stories are priceless, as they are human, and in bearing witness to your graduation, I have great admiration for all of you. I would like to close by sharing a few words from Brené Brown, her approach to recovery, which is about directly facing emotions rather than numbing them. Key practices she shares is identifying personal values, practicing self-compassion, setting boundaries, and using the Rising Strong process, which is reckoning, rumbling, and revolution to turn pain into resilient growth. Vulnerability is strength. Rather than avoiding pain, recovery requires sitting with difficult emotions to process them. Shame resilience, moving away from shame, which tells us we are unworthy, toward empathy and self-compassion. And the Rising Strong process is the reckoning. Recognize when you are feeling emotionally charged. The rumble, getting honest about the stories you are telling yourself about the situation. The revolution, changing your narrative based on these insights to move forward. Boundaries and accountability, establishing clear boundaries to protect your emotional well-being. Brené Brown emphasizes that recovery is not about getting over something, but about transforming, learning, and developing greater self-awareness. She highlights that we are not our failures or our heartbreaks, but rather we are what we have survived and we have learned. Congratulations on completing the LaPorte County Problem-Solving Drug Court Program. This milestone represents more than just finishing a course. It symbolizes the incredible strength and determination you have shown in reclaiming your life. You have walked a difficult path, faced your challenges head-on, and emerged stronger and more resilient. Remember this graduation as a testament to what you can achieve. The skills, the self-awareness, and support system you've built during this program are the foundations of a new and brighter future. Your journey inspires others who are still struggling, proving that recovery and lasting change is possible. Graduates, look ahead with hope and purpose. Continue to lean on your support system. And remember to utilize your relapse prevention plans every day. It is so easy to fall out of a healthy routine and fall back into a dangerous one. Today, celebrate your achievement and the person you are becoming. The power to write the next chapter of your story is in your hands, and it will be extraordinary. You have earned the success, and your future is full of potential. I pray all of you will shine your light so bright from what was once your darkness, and you discover your why and your purpose as you journey through life. Once you begin walking in your purpose, great and mighty things will happen. Your story and testimony will be someone else's survival guide. Finally, this is I just put in before I came. I read something just today. When there is a rainstorm and then the sun comes out, it brings about a beautiful rainbow. A rainbow is a perfect picture of our lives. For something beautiful to happen, we must go through the storm. Love and light always, and congratulations.
Okay.
Over the course of the last 30 years, treatment courts have connected over 1.5 million people to life-saving treatment. Think about that for a moment. 1.5 million people who were given another chance to live life, spend time with their families, contribute to our communities. Perhaps this is not just our legacy, but our future as well. How many lives will be saved in the next 30 years? How many families will be put back together? How many children will be reunited with their parents?
By being immersed in the drug court continuum of care, being immersed in the AA 12-step program and having a wonderful network, my desire to stay sober got greater than my desire to use.
It wasn't just me anymore and fighting my addiction, fighting alcohol. It was the judge and me and the prosecutor and the treatment and the court team all helping me and all on my side fighting my addiction.
I wouldn't have my family if it wasn't for drug court. I wouldn't have them. They were done with me. They didn't want me. And I don't blame them. But today, I'm with them every day, every single day. How do you measure that?
None of us knows what the future holds, but we can glimpse it in the faces of courageous treatment court graduates. We can hear it in their voices as they tell their stories. And when we do, we understand that there is more work to be done. In fact, we're just getting started.
Thank you, Denise and Lisa, for those words of encouragement that life can go on. Tonight is just the beginning. I do have a few words I want to say about our graduates before any of them may want to speak. Justin, you started in April of 2024 and you walked in the door ready to work and you never looked back. That's not to say that the road was easy or without significant obstacles. But you looked at hurdles more as challenges where you could learn something rather than roadblocks to stop your progress. Right away, you jumped in to set goals and tried to achieve them. You got a job to keep you busy. You passed your driver's test. You worked towards a Serve Safe certificate. You began saving money. You worked on healing some important relationships, and you discovered the importance of your spiritual health in the recovery process. You got a sponsor and a bank account. You worked on setting proper boundaries and improving communication skills. You began reading the big book, routinely journaling, and about 6 months into the program, you told me you had a frame of mind that was focused on getting things done. You were establishing good goals, and you were achieving them. You were helping finally build long-term recovery, not just short-term abstinence. You found a partner who supports your recovery. You continue to expand your sober network. You're not afraid to ask for help when you need it. You've saved money. You were able to find a place of your own, which helped greatly in every area of your life. Your attitude of gratitude has allowed you to recognize the accomplishments and strengths that you have while continuing to change areas that need improvement. You've come so far in your recovery, and you should be proud of that. What I want you to remember is how hard it was to do. As hard as you had to work to get here, it's just as easy to lose it, just like Lisa said, in the blink of an eye. Recovery's not a straight line. A careless moment can have consequences that can threaten everything that you've built. And anyone in long-term recovery will tell you that you're one bad decision away from a relapse or worse. So whatever you have to do to stay where you are, remember it. Whether it's a picture, a saying, a word, an action, whatever it is, do it every day. Every day. We're so proud of you and all your work. We miss you. Congratulations. Philip, you began your journey with us on August 3rd of 2023. You were pretty straightforward about where you stood. You knew that where you were was not where you wanted to stay. You also weren't real sure if you fully wanted to embrace recovery. You just knew you didn't want to be where you were any longer. Your people, places, and things were a struggle. They always had been. Keep your boundaries strong so that they don't become a problem in the future. You're very smart, and some of what we required you to do, you questioned. For a long time, you were understandably skeptical. However, you worked with your therapist and your case manager to understand why you had to do certain things. There were some fake it till you make it times when you showed up but didn't buy what we were selling. But as time went on, you really tried to make changes. The walls of skepticism started to crumble. As time went on, you opened up more. You admitted when you were struggling, and that's not something everyone can do. So that helped us help you. Thank you. I remember a time when you had the opportunity to say no to a bad people, places, and things situation. Someone who you thought you could trust, and you couldn't. You were able to tell them that spending time with them was not worth losing everything that you had accomplished and gained. This person knew you were struggling and you were vulnerable. They took advantage of you anyway, or they tried. And I think it was at that moment when you really saw your best interest was at heart if you stayed with the right people. It was a moment, I remember we talked about it in court, and I think you started to realize why people, places, and things is something we talk about so much, and why learning to protect it is key to your recovery. And this applies to all of you. If you're serious about recovery, it can be and will be exhausting, and it's easy to start losing motivation. When that happens, it's hard to be patient and believe that you're making progress because growth can show up in such tiny ways. Sometimes not doing things is just as important as doing things when we mark changes and progress. So be mindful of where you are each day. You know what you need to do. Phil, you've taken on responsibilities of a husband and father, and each day you're learning new things about those roles. To change your priorities for them has also been wonderful to watch. You will be missed. What I want you to remember is that what matters now is maintaining what you've built. Continue to work on your organizational skills. Watch who you spend time with. Keep getting out of your comfort zone once in a while. Never stop being curious about what else you can accomplish. Never believe you got this. Be honest when it gets tough, and it will, because lots of people want you to succeed, and we are right here. Sometimes all it takes is a quick reminder of how far you've come to remind you of where you want to go. Congratulations, Phil. Tabitha, you entered this court at the beginning of 2024. This was not your first attempt to get help, or even your second, but we were hopeful that it would be the one that made the difference, and I believe it has. You've had quite a journey. Starting this program was a struggle for you. You knew what we expected, and at first you tried your hardest to get around the rules. Sometimes it was 2 steps forward and 1 step back, and sometimes it was 2 steps forward and 9 steps back. You started looking for a job because you knew that would provide you some routine and structure. People, places, and things was a huge issue for a very long time because it was never something you'd ever thought about before. You never even considered that who you surrounded yourself with made a huge difference in how you saw yourself and your self-worth. It took so much work on your part to be able to see who was safe, who would encourage you in your recovery and not take advantage of you. This meant some serious discussions about boundaries, why they mattered. You lived so long feeling that you were not in control of your life. It has just been amazing to see you discover your own power and take control. We talked about fear and what held you back. Getting out of your comfort zone made a huge difference. When you started choosing who was safe to be around and who really cared, it gave you hope. It gave you courage, and as scared as you were, you started doing new things to help grow. Just some of the things you did: start taking art and cooking classes. You've been able to move into your own home. You advanced in your career. You were so excited when you planted rose bushes at your house. You volunteer. You got your first car that's in your name. You raised your credit score. You love that. You told me that The new things you were doing were allowing you to see your whole self in a new light. One of the things that mattered most to you was, along with your recovery, growing as a mom to help raise your son. In the last 2 years, you went from watching on the sidelines to actually parenting him and teaching him hands-on. Tabitha, I hope you found peace. It's something that only you could have done. You tackled so much beyond not using a drug. That was pretty much the easy part. It was finding out why you were here, who you wanted to be, how to change, and how to love yourself before anything else. That was the tough part. But what you have now is not something that anyone could give you. You have created it, and you hang on to it. You have so much more that you want to do, more struggles to face, but I know that you now see your worth and you can face them. Please don't take lightly all that you've done. Your changes weren't miracles. They were the result of your hard work. You couldn't do it alone. Nobody could, and you remember that. You have so many tools. You know what you can control. Do it. You know what you can't control. Accept it, and never stop protecting this version of you. If you're not planning for your recovery, you're planning for your relapse. Nothing is more important. Congratulations, Tabitha. We're so proud of you. This team would give just about anything to have our final graduate here with us tonight, Brandon. Brandon passed away on November 3rd of last year, but none of us have any doubt that he would have graduated from this court program and gone on to be a leader in our community. Brandon was tragically and suddenly taken from his family in a motorcycle accident. He was special. You could feel that when you met him. There was a kindness to him that made him susceptible to addiction. He observed things and he tried to help others, sometimes at his own expense. In that regard, one of his greatest weaknesses was also one of his greatest strengths. He came into the program on February 8th of 2024. He came in ready to work. He was honest about his substance use disorder, and he took help willingly. He put in the internal hard work necessary to find long-term recovery. He worked with his therapist, his case manager, his sponsor, his recovery coach. He wanted a new life so much. He didn't count the days. He made those days count. He became a solid member of the recovery community, a wonderful employee, the rock of his family that he valued so much. He is the only participant that I can ever recall who always called me ma'am. He loved the life he was building, and he is someone none of us will ever forget. Well, he's not sitting with us here. We all know he's here with us in spirit, and so proud of all he was able to accomplish. Justin, did you want to say anything?
Sure.
Okay.
I copied about half the dictionary for you guys, so we'll be here for a little while. First I just want to thank my wife for being supportive, and Carissa for always putting your foot in my ass. Excuse my French. Paula, thank you. Barb, all y'all. Holt for the pizza. You snuck us in jail. Appreciate that. You were good to us in there, man. I appreciate that. You made me want it more. Anyway, I looked this up the other day because it was sticking out to me. They always say that, excuse me, I've been sick, and I'm crying a little bit, so. Honesty, a core virtue, meaning truthfulness, integrity, and sincerity, involving acting without lying, cheating, or one of my past favorites, stealing, and being authentic to oneself and others, which builds crucial trust. strengthens relationships, improves self-awareness, and fosters overall moral character and social progress, though sometimes balanced with tact. It's a foundation for strong personal and professional bonds, reflecting consistent, trustworthy behavior across different life aspects. I just never realized when you said it was a program of honesty how important it was. And since I graduated, I've struggled with some things, but going back to honesty, that's what helped me keep it together. And I just appreciate all of you for everything you've done. Dale and Aaron, Amber, y'all always just lifted me up whenever I asked you for any kind of help, and I love you guys. And that's all I got. Thank you guys.
Bill, did you want to speak at all? You don't have to. Yes? Okay.
I just want to say thank you to everything you guys have done to help me get this far. I mean, I wouldn't have got here myself. So, that's it.
Those of you who have been to commencements in the past recall that we like to recognize the arresting officers of the graduates. At graduation celebrations across the country, it's a very symbolic moment when the arresting officer can shake the hand of someone who they once put handcuffs on. The officers truly appreciate the opportunity to see their efforts come full circle. The law enforcement officers in our county routinely see people on their worst, if not their worst day. They root for the people in this program, and they are always thrilled when some of them can join you here to acknowledge that maybe what you didn't acknowledge at the time, but Justin, you just did, that they saved you. So we hoped to have the arresting officers. One thing after another came up. However, I do want law enforcement who's here to please come up and shake the hands of Justin, Phil, and Tabitha. Ashley. Before we close with a beautiful song, I want to thank the family and friends who are here. Each one of you played a role in the success of these graduates. You may have heard me say in the past that when one rises, we all rise, and that is true. We're all better because of these graduates, and all of these graduates have worked hard to change their lives, but you were very much a part of that change. As families, you know the unique, difficult challenge of watching from the sidelines. It's a very tough thing to do. As much as you wanted and prayed for their recovery, you couldn't do it. You couldn't make it happen. Only they could. You've had to have immense faith that the small miracles were actually happening, even if you couldn't see them. So thank you for your patience, your courage, and your trust in this program and in your loved ones. Thank you for never giving up on them. There's a sign in my church that says, "You are now entering the mission field." And as such, I want to remind all of you that you each play a part and a role in battling this disease. It's small, but it can be a big impact. Be kind. You don't need a medical degree to help somebody who's struggling, one kind word can make a huge difference in someone's life on that day. On any given day, when they may be ready to give up, a kind word or gesture might be the thing that keeps them from throwing in the towel. It might make all the difference. The well-known anthropologist Margaret Mead is quoted as saying, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed individuals can change the world. It's the only thing that ever has." Thank you all for being part of that change. Before I forget, graduates, please stay after for just a couple minutes. We always end our ceremonies with a song by a local musician, and tonight we're fortunate to have a very talented young woman with us who's going to share her voice. Lena Hannon has been playing guitar for several years in many venues locally, and you may have heard her at some of the concerts in the park. Lena is our youngest artist, and we're very proud of her. She's the daughter of one of our long-standing team members, Sergeant Adam Hannon, who, along with her mother and sister, are even more proud than we are. We try to choose songs that we believe will speak to the graduates, one that brings a message of hope. Lena personally chose this song tonight, and I think you will all agree it is full of hope. No matter what your struggle may be, there are better days. So please welcome Lena.
Ask me what I want this year. I try to make this shining clear. Just a chance and maybe we'll find better days. 'Cause I don't need boxes wrapped in strings. These are the love and fancy things. Just a chance and maybe we'll find better days. So take these words and sing out loud. 'Cause everyone is forgiven now. 'Cause tonight's the night the world begins again. I need someplace simple where we can live. Something only you can give. That's faith and trust and peace while we're alive. And the one poor child who saved this world, and there's 10 million more who probably could. If we all just stop and said a prayer for them. So take these words and speak out loud. 'Cause everyone is forgiven now. Tonight's the night the world begins again. I wish everyone was loved tonight. And somehow stop this endless fight. Just a chance, maybe we'll find better days.
Please feel free to have cake. Thank you for coming.